Well, here we are then at what is an extremely toasty weekend at Brands Hatch as we get ready for the first race of the weekend in the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. You will recognise that I am not Andy McEwen. I am Lewis McGlade. I'm joined in the comedy box by Harry Benjamin as well, who'll be talking you through the first race of the weekend. We're new to this Ginetta stuff. We're going to have a bit of fun here.
Yeah, I think so. Thanks for having me along this weekend. This is going to be great, and we've picked a pretty hot weekend for it.
Yes, certainly so. You can see they're 29.9 ambient. It means that it's nearly 44 degrees track temperature. Absolutely crazy as we head into what will be the penultimate weekend for the championship. Of course, if you're new here for the Ginettas, you're in good company. There are two classes in this race, the GT Pro and the GT5 Pro, so plenty to be talking about. I do love myself a little bit of multi-class racing as well, but they are short races, aren't they? Just 20 minutes in length.
Yeah, but we love that though, really, don't we?
Oh,
it's pretty much a sprint to the line, isn't it, as we get the grid rundown.
Yeah, Ruben Haig will be starting from pole position in the GT Pro. Luke Reed, championship leader, alongside in second position for Wolf Motorsport. Colin White will be starting from third, with Callum Davies in that fourth position. Connor Garlick from fifth, and then Carl Garnett will be starting from sixth place before we get down to the fourth row of the grid, where Leona Theobald will be starting from seventh, Bull Sidhu from eighth. Heading down to the final few positions in the GT Pro category, Gary Wagger will be starting from 9th position, and then Sean Fleming in 10th. As we head down into the GT5s. Will Rockford getting pole position in that category. Ella Lloyd alongside. She looked absolutely fantastic in qualifying. Luke Garlick in 19th position. Of course, third in class. Sam Harvey starting from 20th. Pablo Jaguier in 21st. And then Paolo Santi starting from 22nd. The final row of the grid sees Karen Sekat starting from 23rd. So a decent split between the two categories. Ella Lloyd looks like she's in control of the GT5 Championship, but it's not ridiculously in control. Getting a nice little onboard around here. Let's be honest, I've just been commentating on some nice open wheelers running around here. Those cockpits will be extremely hot.
I mean, we're hot here in the commentary box as well, but I can't imagine what it's like in the cockpit of these Ginetta cars. Of course, two types, the G56 GT Pro car and the always entertaining G40 GT5 car. And what a track to do it. You say it's only a 20-minute race, over 2.4 miles, 3.9 kilometres, 11 turns around this Brands Hatch using the GP circuit with all the history that comes in with it. The undulations, the dips, the fast right-handers, the fast left-handers. It's a track that's got a bit of everything, and add the heat into it and it just makes it even more challenging than it already is, especially on the tyres and just on the driver concentration levels as well. As the sun beats down, I think we're over 30 degrees now, air temperature, way above 40 degrees track temperature too. So it's a hot one. I could have done with an ice cream in here.
Oh no, I could definitely do with well, to be fair, if you weren't going to join me on this comedy, I was going to say off you go. Get me an ice cream. It is so unbelievably hot. Safety car there over on the right-hand side. I'll talk you through the top in the championship on both sides. GT Pro basically is on the cusp of being won by the driver that sits second in this race, Luke Reed. 621 points to his name over Callum Davies on 467. On the other side of things in the GT5s, Ella Lloyd has a comfortable lead, but it's not ridiculous over Luke Garlick. She's on 533 points, Luke Garlick on 504. We'll get ready though for the first race of the weekend. You can see there on the right side of the front row, that is Luke Reed. Ruben Haig starting there on the left. The two grids separated ever so slightly, so the GT5's behind all of that. We wait for the last of those to get in position and the green flag will be waved. That first run down into Paddock Hill is a tricky one. It's a hot one, and it is one for the brave. You can make your way up the order if you are that. They get their way undergoing in this race, and I think it's Colin White who's had a poor start there in the middle of the pack. He'll be dropping back, but fantastic there from the championship leader, Luke Reed, straight around the outside of Ruben Haig, and that is why he's the championship leader. Around the outside, two wheels into the dirt, and there is a car backwards and stationary. I believe that might have potentially been Bull Sidhu.
Yeah, it was one of the all-white Ginetta, which we've seen that time and time again around this Brands Hatch circuit. So easy to run out wide or be forced out wide coming through the right-hander in turn one, and the gravel is there to meet you. It is not your friend, and then round you go. We'll see whether they're able to even try and get that still moving, though it looked pretty stuck there. But apart from that little bit of action coming into turn one, as we go side by side, the 42, 2 against the 66. That's Rochford and then Fleming in the 66 going side by side. Fairly clean start as they now make the run down. They've come through Surtees, now the run down through Pilgrim's Drop and towards the Derek Minter Straight, and a safety car though coming out.
Yeah, not surprised. Not surprised. You got a car stationary at Paddock Hill. You're always going to get a safety car, aren't you? Like I say, I think there's been a bit of an issue on the start for Sean Fleming. There is Sea-Doo stationary in the gravel trap, so they'll try and push him back out so we can get this race underway fairly soon. But I mean, those kind of things, it's so easy to do. Going through that first section, I mean, I've done it my fair share in the world of sim racing, where I've gone through that first corner, I've ended up in that gravel trap.
You could just hit restart.
Yeah,
and you're fine.
and I do many times.
Yeah, unfortunate though for Sea-Doo in the ZTEC Motorsport car. That's the all-white Ginetta, the number 16 on the side. I mean, because you're coming down the Brabham Straight, which of course isn't really a straight, is it? Slightly cambered, coming into the right-hander for the Paddock Hill bend. It's a fast right-hander uphill entry as well. So we're looking at the, I think it's the white car on the right-hand side of the screen. Yeah, so a little bit further back. So we're going side by side with the leader to turn 1. Now Watch does it all on his own, loses the rear, goes round wide, runs over a little bit of the less grippy stuff on the outside line, and round he goes. Yeah,
I was going to say, you can see where there's been a couple of like dirty tracks that's been left by like the JCBs, just kind of pushing, obviously as they've been moving cars around, pushing a little bit of dirt on the road, and like I say, just overdid it. I mean, I will say, thankfully it means there was no contact, which it sometimes is a good thing. Sometimes you actually kind of want that contact though, in the sense of being like, this is the reason I've been off. I don't have to go back to the team and explain myself. It's just like, well, I got hit off.
Yeah, I think then exactly, you've hit the nail on the head there. You can almost say, well, it wasn't my fault, I swear, it wasn't me. But unfortunately then, all of Sea-Doo's own making there. So the marshals, though, as always, doing an excellent job to get to the car and the driver as quickly as possible. But that has led to safety car conditions. So the Ginetta safety car comes out, heads the field, and everybody slows down behind Reed in that number 26. So at the outside line coming into turn 1, and with Hay, it was really side by side, so easy to put a foot wrong, but you've just got to keep your foot in and hold that hope that the guy on the inside isn't going to be a bit mean and run you out wide. But they played nicely, and after, well, they didn't even get a full lap in, did they? But Reed managing to take that position away then from Haig, who will have a little bit of a fight on his hands, I think, when we get this race eventually restarted.
Yeah, of course, Ruben Haig actually finds himself in 5th in this championship, but he's actually really close to the back of Carl Garnett, of Colin White, and of Callum Davies, really. He's on 432 points, so only about 30 behind Callum Davies. Of course, Davies is only 1 position behind him in the race, but with only a handful of races left to go in the 2023 season of the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship, you've kind of got to get on with it. You've kind of got to move on. The championship lead is basically done. We're just waiting for Reed to have, I think it's about 170 odd points that he needs. We're waiting for him to have that lead. Once he has that lead, he wins the championship, and basically we're done. Fair enough, cool. But the battle for second is still really on.
Oh, the battle for second, where have I heard that in other racing championships before? That's the one we've got to focus on. Another lap, I think, then we'll get of the safety car. We should get a little, hopefully a little view as to how they're getting on with getting Sea-Doo's car out of the gravel trap on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. But such a fast right-hander uphill entry, you get a little dip and then you're straight back uphill again after you get through the dip towards the 180-degree right-hander of Druids before you kind of come back on yourself, essentially. The JCB digger out then as they just wait for the field to come past them before they carry on doing any more work. And you can actually see it really is dug in there a little bit, isn't it? As the JCB digger now reverses and the car manages to get moving. So hopefully, maybe this might be the final lap under the safety car for this incident. We'll see how quickly they can get that car removed once it's out of the gravel. But Reed leads Haig, Davies, Garnett and White the top 5 as well. So a few hard charges in those opening couple of corners, but no massive gainers after the first half a lap or so of racing.
No, but I will say in the other category, the GT5s, Lloyd's done yet another good job moving up into the lead of that category. Again, the championship leader in it, and I believe we're on board with her here, actually, Ella Lloyd. So I've got to say, with Ella Lloyd, I was watching in qualifying the run, particularly from where we are, from where our commentary box is. You can see the look into Paddock Hill, especially from the other end of it, where I've been hiding for the rest of the day. the level of commitment from Eloy was next level. Like it was almost like I was looking at. I think that's higher than anyone else in the GT5 category. Sliding the rear end ever so slightly, just coming up and over that crest. Like you said, it's that massive fall off as you come through Paddock Hill is what kind of makes that corner so exciting.
Oh, it absolutely is. I mean, everyone loves a bit of Brands Hatch, don't they? And you know, there are certain corners where you can take different lines as well, and each one you can find a time. It's not like there's one bad line, particularly, I suppose, if you're going up through in the left-hander of Surtees. We've seen so many different lines being taken through there that, depending on how much confidence you've got in yourself and in your car, you can carry that and still have the speed through it. But absolutely, I mean, Ella Lloyd up in 9th at the moment overall. So, but of course, leading in the GT5P category. So brilliant stuff after a maiden season, just 18 years old, I think, Ella. So fantastic work behind the wheel there. You can really see them working hard as well when we're riding on board, weaving left and right. Despite the heat that we've got coming down from the sun, you've still got to make sure you've got those tyres up to temperature. Because the last thing you want is for something even ever so slightly to cool down as you then come back into green flag racing. And then your next thing, you'll find yourself backwards in the gravel. But still then, another lap of safety car, but...
I think this will definitely be the last.
Yeah, they've left a little bit of a gravel trail across the track, though, where the digger is reversed out with the Ginetta car with it. So I wonder whether that might be a little bit of cause for concern, but hopefully it won't be, and they can clean it up quite quickly when all the cars run through.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be fine, but we'll have to wait and see. There you go. Yeah, you can see that there. I would say I'm sure it'll be fine. There we go. Oh no, there might be more. I was going to say they're going to
do it again.
Yeah, it's going to make it all the way down, all the way down Paddock Hill. No, I mean that was actually that was a lot more significant than I was thinking. So yeah, it is quite a lot. You were saying there about Ella Lloyd being young. It's the beautiful thing of championships. Like, it makes me feel a little bit sick, mostly in the fact that it makes me feel old. But seeing all these drivers that are so young,
younger by the year.
It's the talent that's coming through. It's so high, and it's becoming so. Yeah, it's just common that every championship is just full of ridiculous talent. I almost feel a little bit bad for them because you know that there is countless talent that you just never get to quite see the light of day. But thankfully, we get to stream all these races now, so everyone at least gets some coverage out there.
Exactly, and it's a blessing and a curse actually. This whole age thing, because we see it throughout every racing category there is now. You know, you get younger, you get given chances younger and younger, but you've got to make them count. And then if you don't, well then you're in trouble, and you might lose your career quite early on. But Ella, who's also a show jumper as well, did you know?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, crazy stuff. Well, into the final corner they'll go. 11 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock, and the race will get back underway. So Luke Reed in control in our lead category, in the lead of the race. Our championship leader as well, Haig behind. Of course, ignore the fact that the fast lap's being set by everyone. That's just because we're back racing again here at Brands Hatch. Nice and tidy through this first section. Reed, Haig and Davies being the top three, pulling away after a decent start and a decent restart from Garnett, White and Garlick. Connor Garlick behind, not quite able to make his way through, although certainly looking.
Yeah, Garnett's a little bit under pressure there, really, in the number 19, heading up that little trio with White and, as you said, Garlick behind. White looking to make a move in the number 78. Has a little look to the inside. I think the number 19 of Garnett definitely struggling a little bit off the restart compared to those behind him. There's a little bit of a gap in front of Garnett as well to the 95 of Davies in third. So Garnett under pressure a little bit. Can he stabilise it?
Yeah, potentially. Well, into the Grand Prix loop. I've always said with Brands Hatch, I'm not really a massive fan of Brands Indy, but I absolutely adore the Grand Prix loop. Once you come around here into these high commitment corners, it is so much fun in every car. I've done it in a few sims and stuff, having driven the G50 and basically the GT5 car, and the amount of sliding you get is so much fun.
Car in the gravel in the background, though. Looks like it's the number 10 of Sekat there in the GT5, Karim Sekat for Brickell Racing. And you can see that means you're beached when you see the rear wheels spinning up, stuck in the gravel, flying everywhere. I'd be surprised if we don't get a safety car in the next few seconds.
I was about to say, what does that mean, Harry? What are we going to get here.
They are picking this up pretty quickly. We're just 9.5 minutes. I think we've only had a couple of minutes of racing, haven't we? But they haven't actually thrown it just yet. So maybe I might need another view of it to see where exactly, how far into the gravel Sekat is beached. But disaster for him. He falls right to the back of the field now as everybody passes him, and he's in that GT5P Ginetta car. So at the back, as the battles though rage on, then no safety car called at the moment.
No, not just yet. It's not really a corner where you want to leave a car after the Hawthorns Hill, into the Hawthorns Bend. You don't really want to leave a car there. There is Ella Lloyd with Rockford directly behind, and by directly behind, I mean you couldn't literally get any closer. This is for the lead in that GT5 Pro category, trying to get to the outside. Rockford's going to go. Ella Lloyd, though, taking a defensive line coming through Surtees. Out wide, Rockford's going to try and get a good run out onto the Grand Prix loop.
Yeah, I think Lloyd will be praying that the safety car might get called out then, because she's under pressure there, but done a great defensive job. But one small move, and she's got 3 cars behind her, Rochford, Harvey, Garlick, all there, ready to pounce as they get into the double yellow flag zone. That's where we have Sekat's car beached, and he is out and running towards the barrier. So, I mean, it's not a great area, that car, is it? But they're not calling the safety car, but it is double yellow flags, which means no overtaking. So Lloyd lives to fight another day on that one. But as she tries to defend, we've got the 71 coming down the inside. That's Garlick trying to make a move on Rochford.
Yeah, that was Luke Garlick making his way through. Fantastic
Harvey.
move. It was actually, yeah, it was Harvey. Indeed, safety car is now called. So they've decided they can't do it under double waved yellow. So we did at least get a little bit of racing in all of that. And Garlick, we're very happy with that, having worked his way through instantly onto the weaving, potentially getting a little bit of heat onto the tyre, maybe even communicating with them. I've always said this before, is if you want to ever communicate with the driver, that's how you do it. You just weave a little bit, and that's normally how I've seen some drivers do it, where they're like, I'm actually very unhappy with your driving, I'm going to weave in your mirrors.
Not a little flash of the headlights.
No, which I actually prefer. I think the flashing of the headlights is much better, because it really shows your anger. Yeah. We'll take a replay again of that in just a moment to see what actually happened to Sekat. You'll see it in the background here. So watch for the white and red car. That is definitely Solo, because no one else was near him. Yeah,
it already happened. He'd already lost it as he went into the corner. Yeah, Sekat then out of this race, out of the car though, which is good to see. But along with Sidhu, then 2 drivers losing on their own, sadly, in their Ginettas, and coming a cropper of the gravel that is so perilous around here in Brands Hatch. You know, there's lots of calls these days for runoff areas to reintroduce gravel and not having lots of tarmac ready to catch you. Well, there's an example of what happens when you have gravel. Your race comes to an end pretty quickly, and you pay the price for your mistake as the digger starts to head down there, but safe to do so under safety car conditions as the number 66 of Fleming peels by the last car in that gaggle. The last car of the GTP category comes through.
I know Mark Werrell absolutely loves calling them telehandlers, which I still don't know.
Telehandlers?
Yeah, it's what if you ever hear Mark Werrell talking about a digger, it's always a telehandler or a zoom boom, which again, just hilarious. But yes, under safety car once again. I suspect we might get a lap or 2 back racing, but we'll have to wait and see as the recovery team gets on for the second safety car of the race.
Oh, red flag.
Oh, interesting. And that is going to stop the clock. So maybe that's because they're expecting to be able to get that car out of the way and then do the one lap and then get back going again. It's not the first red flag we've seen today. In fact, across the sessions, I've counted 3 thus far, red flags today. This will be the 4th.
And it's a hot day to have multiple red flags on, isn't it? As the drivers then red flag, so the clock stops. That is the race stopped for the time being. So Reed heads the field then in that number 26 and stops on the start-finish straight as instructed to do, and everybody else peels up behind him. Door immediately open, not surprising there, to try and let a little bit of, well, there's no cold air, but just try and let a little bit of air come into the cockpit of that Ginetta. Difficult now to kind of keep your head in the game. This is where your mental approach really comes into fruition here, because you've got 6 minutes left on the clock. You don't know when if the race will be restarted. You have got a car in the gravel that they're currently dealing with. You've only had really a couple of laps of full green flag racing. And you're desperate to get to the end and hold on to your position. There's a little bit of gesticulation there coming from Ella Lloyd in the 28, currently leading the GT5 Pro class, 10th overall though, who was a little bit under pressure from those behind, so this will come at a good time for her, but would have preferred it to be a safety car, I'm sure, for her. But there you go, they managed to remove the number 10 now of Sekat's
But he's not in it
Ginetta.
because he got out, didn't he?
Yes, so he's done. So they're going to have to... Well, they've removed the belts.
Unless he jumps back in, I don't... Unless he has run back over, like he was running over to a marshal. We don't know if he actually got back into the car.
Yeah,
unless they're going to get a marshal behind the wheel, but I doubt it. I've got to say, when we're all... we complained about the commentary booth because the commentary booth is really hot. If there is one place I would not want to be, is in one of those cars. That would be simply the most unpleasant place right now. When the car's moving, you've at least got a little bit of airflow. But you're absolutely right. As soon as they were stationary and you saw those doors opening up, you need to do it because they will get so hot. I mean, everyone knows you've got into your car on a hot day like this, and the first thing you do is go, oh my God, that is so hot. Turn the aircon on, just cool this car down as much as possible. You can't do that in a race car.
You absolutely cannot. And we saw Sekat then, so he did get back into his car. We didn't see him run back over, so he was able to get that number 10 Ginetta. Moving again and rolling, there it is, as he will rejoin right at the back of this race. You can tell where he's been. In the gravel, it all comes clattering out of the rear onto the racing line. There's clearly something that, I think, is that Ella Lloyd who's not happy with... Oh no, that was Garlic there, who's also gesticulating further back. They're all gesticulating.
I think it's because they don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, they don't know what the scenario will be, do they? Now we're hearing that Ella Lloyd in that 28 had a false start. So has received a penalty for it.
Yeah, I believe it's a 10-second post-race time penalty, which I can tell you where it will drop Ella Lloyd. To the back. You're not. I mean, to be fair, even at that point in the race, even if the race were to, even if like that red flag is to hold and it's to go back to that, Ella Lloyd is still going to finish in last of that class. So it kind of almost is a moot point, a moot race. We'll still score some points, mind, but yes, that is quite a drama for Ella Lloyd. I don't have the note on my screen, but yeah, we're getting that note from Race Control, from those in our ears, saying, yeah, that's big for the championship leader, because, like I say, I mean, as much as she's got a bit of a lead over Luke Garlick, it's not a crazy lead over Luke Garlick, who thankfully isn't the driver that was running directly behind. Oh, no. Yeah, no, 2 positions behind.
Yeah. What do you do? Do you reckon she knows already? Because when you're the team, do you want to tell them now that they've got this 10-second penalty? Because realistically, what can they actually do about it? And do you want them to be thinking and making bold moves and perhaps making mistakes as well as they start to when we get back underway? It's a difficult scenario for the team to justify. I think we're going to see here.
Way early. Way
start.
I know we can't see the lights, but you can see even based on the other cars and when they moved, she went way too early.
So she'll know herself.
Exactly. That's kind of thing. Is that I might communicate it. If at this point, if she's like, look, did I get a penalty? I'd be like, yes, you absolutely got a penalty. Sorry, but you definitely got a penalty from that. That's not going to be a shock at all. I mean, she's been doing fantastically this season, has Ella Lloyd, when it comes to the racing. Everyone getting water, and that is really important today. Please, everyone, stay hydrated, because it is hot. The amount of... I went around earlier... and I went to all of the teams and stuff to work out where I could get cold drinks from. We'll take a look again from the outside. It's less obvious from outside.
It is. I'll tell you, who got a really bad start, though. I think it was the number 78 of White. He got a terrible start. Managed to regain 5th, but he could not get that Ginetta off the line further up the field. Whereas Ella Lloyd got it off a little bit too well. But it is just off-board. Hard to tell. On board, definite jump start. Which
is kind of weird. I mean, like I say, again, the thing is, the jump start penalty is there's no arguing. It's black and it's white. It's the same as speeding in the pit lane. You've either been caught speeding in the pit lane or you haven't. There's no, maybe. Like, you always see it, in other championships when it says, like, that's under investigation. You know it's a penalty. It is a penalty. And so in that sense, if you're being investigated for a jump start, it's 90% that it's going to be a going to be a penalty. So we do have a little bit of movement in Reed taking to a grid box. I will say on our timing screens, to give you a little bit of an update of what we can see in the comms booth, on our timing screens, it says nothing. It says there's 0 laps to go and 0 seconds, minutes to go. They might still reinstate some time left because, of course, there was 6 minutes. I think it was 6 minutes and 12 seconds left to go in the race when we brought out this red flag. So I think they're going to put a certain amount of that back into the race. But now we get to figure out what the restart procedure is, because I don't think you've got an idea, and I certainly don't.
Well, I think we'll figure it out as we go, won't we? I think the doors will definitely be shut on the Ginettas, that's for sure, when we get restarted. But I think it looks like, well, they're lining up in grid slots in the positions that they came in under the red flag conditions. So it doesn't look like we're taking it back to any kind of lap before the red flag came out, because there were a couple that were making moves. I think it was Garlic made a move, didn't he, for a position just before we got into the double yellows. And then, of course, the safety car, and then the red flag followed pretty quickly after that. So they're lining up the GT Pros first of all. So I wonder if we're going to get a standing restart, or if they're just going to do 1 lap behind the safety car and then do a rolling restart after that, and we get 6 minutes on the clock remaining.
I can feel there is someone in chat that definitely knows, and they're furious right now. But again, we don't actually see too many red flags in any of the Ginetta Championships, let alone the Ginetta Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. So we don't see them too often. So the thing is where it's confusing sometimes for us in the comms booth, for the teams around. Think of how it is for the drivers. You just have to trust what the marshals are saying and just follow suit right now. They will know what's actually happening. They'll know the rough plan, but still it can be a little stressful when you're in a car. Also there was another touch. I don't know if you were catching up on any of it before. They went racing a few weeks ago back in Cadwell. The weather was terrible. And this has been a thing that I've seen from a lot of championships. They went racing in August and July in just wet weather, terrible, garbage. And now we come into September and it is really hot.
They've got day and night when it comes to conditions then, don't they? It's almost too hot, really, for these for racing sometimes. But if you're out there trackside enjoying the huge amount of racing that is on offer this weekend, so many different classes and categories to get your teeth sunk into, and each one of them leads to some spectacular racing. But we will get the race restarted, and I do believe it will be a 6-minute race. So a 6-minute sprint to the end then, by the sounds of things.
It certainly seems as much. So we do get to see our conclusion to this one, which is good, because I kind of want to see, what's going to happen. Obviously, Ella Lloyd, we know, she's basically out of the race. She'll be scoring points, but there'll be points at the rear of the GT5 Pro field, courtesy of her 10-second time penalty for jumping the initial race start. So we know that she'll drop to the back of the field, but for everyone else, there is certainly an opportunity to fight. And where Brands Hatch is a really difficult circuit to overtake at, first laps to the race, first laps on restarts from safety cars and stuff, those are the primary opportunities to make something stick. I do believe it'll be a safety car restart, by the way, so we'll be able to see that once again. That's where you need to make some moves, especially if you're a little bit further back in the pack.
But it's so tough to do that. If you can't do it, you've got to risk it into turn 1, really, to try and make it stick when you're this close when we get restarted. But we've seen what the consequences of that can be. You then risk it all around the outside. You either lose it yourself, you make a little bit of contact with the car on your inside, and the gravel is there to await you. So it's a real tough one for the drivers to match up. Do you just settle and try and hope that bank what you've got right now, and then hope you can make the move stick a little further around? Because as great as this track is, overtaking can be very tricky around here, especially in these, we've got single seaters running here as well, or we've got, GT3 and GT4 cars too. These cars are a little bit wider, but we've got a car peeled off onto the side.
I believe it certainly is pulling off to one side. Yes, that is one of our GT Pro, so our lead category cars pulling over to one side. Not 100% sure as to what it is, although I will say the idea of it being a mechanical on a day like this actually kind of high. There is possibilities. These cars should absolutely be fine with it. But when they've been raced around for 12 minutes, and then then they're stationary for 5 to 10 minutes, it's not great for a race car. For your road car, yes, it can take it. A race car is a very different beast, even at this level.
Yeah, well, he seems to have got going again, though, in that Ginetta. Overheating, a real issue here, as you alluded to there. But I wonder if he's just done the old turn it off and on again and gone on his way. So let's see. He'll have to line up at the back of the field, I believe. But we'll see what happens when we just rejoin the back of the field, won't he, when we get back round. But there is the safety car then, still flashing its light, so that will eventually speed up and just peel off on the inside after coming through clearways in the Clark curve and into the pit lane exit, and that will allow our lead driver to take over and control the pace, and then put the foot to the floor and get 6 minutes of hard-fought racing underway.
I think he's going to be pushing quite hard, our race leader Luke Reed, just to pull away. Haig was getting quite close, was going on the attack at various points, but and obviously has the pole position, so realistically is a very strong driver on this grid. You don't really want that sat over the rear end of you over this race. So the safety car, I think, will be pulling over to the right-hand side as they'll come out. Maybe it is a standing start. We'll have to wait and see. There is the safety car pulling over. Maybe it is.
Hey,
I'm up for it.
I'm here for it. As yeah, they slow right down. You can see the gap that second place man is leaving. So yeah, I think it is probably going to be a grid restart then, a standing start. So they'll all line up in their allocated grid boxes from the positions in which they were found after or just as the red flag was called. So they line up, and we'll have the GT, the first category of GT5 cars peeling in, then a little bit of a gap before the second category. Of course, a reminder, Ella Lloyd leading that has a penalty of 10 seconds to be added on. Can she make a 10-second gap within 6 minutes? Well,
that's tall.
Might be a little bit of a tall order, but they'll get the race restarted there as the final car peels into its final grid spot.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. I believe that it will be Gary Wagger starting in the rear of the field. You can kind of see it looks completely out of place compared to those GT5 Pro cars. The green flag will be waved, the lights will come on, and the race will get back underway for 6 minutes. And once again, a great start there from Luke Reed. There are the threats of potential jump starts once more as we head our way down into the first corner. It was not a good start from Haig, though. Is going to be able to potentially fend off Davies going through the first corner, and I think certainly does so. We ride on board with Davies there. It was Garnett that was also on the attack in all of that. Garnett now dropping back a position. I was talking about this in a previous race. If you go on the attack around here and you don't make it stick, the likelihood is you're the one going backwards.
Yeah, Garnett got a really good start in that number 19 Ginetta, but then just couldn't make it stick, was forced out wide through Druids, and now is paying the price for it, but he's looking quick, and now he's still battling with White, the number 78, who has just got through on Garnett, I believe, as the Ginetta further back in the pack. I think it was Jequir finding a little bit of contact as they try and do a little bit of a inter-class battling there and try and weave himself through the field to rejoin his class.
Yeah, kind of feel for Wagger in all of that when you're kind of trying to work your way up the order. Out wide there, that'll be Connor Garlick returning onto the racetrack, losing out a position to Theobald, but still just a single position, and thankfully kept the car pointing in the correct direction. There is a look in our GT5 Pro category. Ella Lloyd continues to lead. Of course, yes, post-race penalty just looming over her head, and closing in all of that is Wagger, who's just trying to basically get on with their own race right now. Unfortunately, they've got to cut through a load of the GT5 Pro traffic before they can even get on with it.
Yeah, but after the end of the first lap under the restart, they're just less than 4.5 minutes remaining, and despite the poor start for Haig in second, managed to hold on to it and is keeping tabs with Reed. 3.5 tenths or so between them as we go side by side into turn one between Theobald and Connor Garlick.
That was a big send around the outside, just trying to hold position, and done brilliantly there from Theobald. Like you say, just being brave. The outside line around Paddock Hill does generally work, and it certainly did on that occasion. Connor Garlick unable to work his way back through after that mistake. An error going around the back. Reed Haig and Davies running first, second and third in the GT Pro category. Lloyd Rochford and Luke Garlick, of course, second in the championship, will be closing up in this championship in the GT5 Pro category after Ella Lloyd's penalty.
Yeah, Wager, who started at the back as well in the GT Pro car, has now got through all of the GT5 Pro cars up into 9th spot then, ahead of Ella Lloyd, who heads up the GT5 Pro class.
Well, here we go then. Sorry for the delay there. I was just waiting for some of our coverage behind the scenes. A bit of an issue there for Haig. What has happened there for Haig? He's dropping down the order. There has been some issue coming through Paddock Hill, and he is now dropping right the way down.
Yeah, he's picked up a little of the grass in the front radiator and the front vents there, but it doesn't look like he's had any big contact, so I wonder if he's just had to pull off with an issue. But poor luck for Haig then, who was running right at the front and now all the way out of this race by the looks of things as the remaining cars all file past him. But there's still battles being hard fought towards the front of the field. Reed holding on over White, Davies, Garnett, Theobald, the top 5, but they are starting to close up a little bit. We're looking at the number 95 leading this pack. That's Davies in front of White and Garnett. So Davies desperately trying to hold on to his second place spot, which he's now inherited with White along with Theobald, Fleming and Garlick. Actually, he's made up the most amount of spots overall in this race, 3 spots to Garlick's name.
Yeah, on to the final lap of the race then here at Brands Hatch, the first race of the weekend. So been a fairly dramatic one with a lot of chops and changes. That recent one from Haig, we're just not 100% sure as to what has happened in all of that. There is Connor Garlick with Theobald. The yellow flag will be out courtesy of that car over on the left-hand side of our shot. The right-hand side as the drivers will be coming up. That'll be very frustrating because it was such a good race going on for Haig and was really starting to attack the back of Luke Reed, our championship leader.
Yeah, it really was, but sadly then, this race, as you say, full of starts and stops, and for Haig, coming to a premature stop for him. But still, battles go on. Theobald in the number 8, holding on in front of the number 63. That is Garlick, and that is for 5th and 6th as it currently stands. So not willing to give up this fight as they go side by side, but Theobald should have the slight advantage, but actually the 63 is coming and carrying more momentum. Can he hold it on round the outside? No. Brave if you could do that. Wasn't close enough, but is able to carry a little bit more speed. Ducks to the inside, then comes back to the left, but under braking, Theobald just about holds on, but Garlick really putting him under pressure.
Yeah, certainly so. Was looking for any opportunity. It's a brave one if you're going to try it around the outside of Hawthorns. Was not quite fancying that one. Again, you've got the rest of the weekend of racing left to go. You don't want to do anything too silly in the first race of it, especially not on a day like this. Don't give your mechanics too much work to do. Coming through the final corner though, and our championship leader in the GT Pro category, Luke Reed, will continue that charge, will extend that championship lead. I'm not sure it's enough to take the title just yet, but will take yet another win. Here comes the move though, straight around the outside. This is Connor Garlick trying to make it stick, and does indeed do so up towards the line into the top 5 with a brilliant move coming out of the final corner.
On the line, almost a photo finish there. Fantastic though for Garlick. Theobald gutted with that, but there are still battles raging on in the GT5 Pro category. Ella Lloyd under pressure it seems, and remember Ella Lloyd has a penalty as well, so unfortunately for her she will fly right to the back. She's kind of pretty much there anyway, but she just about keeps those positions. But Ella Lloyd then falling well down the field once the 10 seconds are added, but Garlick then holding on to be the best of the GT5 Pro cars.
Yeah, and to touch on that one just a little bit, that is big for Ella Lloyd because that's going to basically cut her championship lead in half in the GT5 Pro category. So a big shame for her on the start of the race, but it all came down to that initial start, just jumping it slightly. It's so easily done, especially when here, you get a little bit twitchy with the trigger basically on the start of the race.
Yeah, it's so easily done, isn't it? And as you said, when we saw the replay off board, it didn't look like it was close, but then on board it was a pretty clean cut jump start. So sad for Lloyd. We'll have to bounce back in the remainder of the weekend here. Not the end of the Ginetta racing action at all. That will be continuing throughout the weekend. But a flawless drive, it has to be said, for our overall winner for Reed ahead of Davies in the heat of Brands Hatch.
Certainly so. Well, Luke Reed taking yet another win of the season for Wolf Motorsport ahead of Callum Davies, Colin White, Carl Garnett and Leona Theobald, having done that amazing move late on in the race in that battle with Connor Garlick, who I think got a post-race penalty. Sean Fleming, Gary Rager as well will finish in 8th position. The winner in the GT5 Pro category will be Luke Garlick. He finishes 9th overall. Will Rochford, then Sam Harvey, Paolo Santi, and then Ella Lloyd, who will finish in 5th, scoring just 20 points, losing 15 on the championship lead. Pablo Jacquier and Ruben Haig having issues in the later portion of the race, joining the string of retirements from what has been a difficult first race of the weekend. We'll take a look at highlights from it. Instantly, Ella Lloyd in the background was picking up a jump start, but there was all attacks all over the place going into the first corner. A fantastic start from Luke Reed, holding off and getting around the outside in that first corner, taking over the race lead of the GT Pro category. It wasn't without drama though. Unfortunately, number 16 of Balsidu would be into the gravel trap on the first lap, and that would be a retirement from the race. The safety car would come out, and once we got restarted, it was Luke Reed in control, but it was Ella Lloyd having to fend off some of those big GT Pro drivers working their way through after issues on the restart. That was Sean Fleming working his way back through. Issues in the background, and unfortunately a retirement from the race, causing yet another safety car. That was Karen Sekat. Some brilliant moves though in the racing, some defensive ones coming there from Sam Harvey. The red flag would come out courtesy of Sekat's position. The race would be restarted with a standing start, and unfortunately it was a little bit of a slow start from some of those. White, Garnett, Davies as well, all getting involved in that battle for second, all behind our race leader Reed. In the GT5 Pro category, there was issues as well. Ella Lloyd again with that 10-second post-race time penalty, an issue for Jacquier dropping back down the field. A retirement late on from Haig would drop him out of second position. Out through the final corner, Luke Reed taking another victory and pulling out his championship lead in fantastic fashion, ticking it off with Garlick as well in the Pro category.